What if the smart financial decision everyone in Singapore assumes you should make is actually costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars? Hmm, Stay with me on this one. Because for years, the story has been the same. Work hard, save your CPF, save enough for a down payment, and buy a condo. That's the plan, right? That's what your parents did. That's what your colleagues are doing. That's what half your Instagram feed is doing, standing outside their new BTO or condo with a bouquet of flowers. But here's a question almost nobody asks out loud. What if you just didn't? What if you rented for the rest of your life and invested the difference instead? Okay, I know what you're thinking. That sounds insane. Renting is throwing money away. Everyone says that. Your uncle definitely says that. But let's actually slow down and look at the numbers, because the real answer might surprise you. Picture this. You're 30 years old. You've been working for a few years, you've got a decent job in the CBD, and you're staring at a two-bedroom condo going for $1.2 million. Your friends are telling you to just jump in now before prices go up more. Your parents are asking when you'll finally going to settle down. So you do the math. 20% down payment. That's about $240,000. Some of it from CPF, some of it cash. Then a mortgage stretching 25, maybe 30 years. Monthly repayments eating into a huge chunk of your salary. Property tax, maintenance fees, renovation, the works. Meanwhile, your friend, let's call her May, decides to rent a similar unit for, say, $3,500 a month. Everyone tells her she's making a mistake. She's wasting money every single month with nothing to show for it. But here's the twist almost nobody talks about. May takes that $240,000 she would have used for a down payment, and instead of locking it into property, she invests it. Broad market index funds, nothing fancy, just consistent, boring, long-term investing. And every month, instead of a mortgage payment, she pays rent, which is often actually lower than a mortgage installment on the same unit, especially in the first several years. The difference between what she would have paid on a mortgage and what she pays in rent, she invests that too. Now, here's where things get interesting. Over 20, 25 years, compounding does something strange. It looks like nothing is happening for the first several years. The portfolio just sits there, quietly growing, boring, almost disappointing. And then somewhere around year 12, 13, 14, the growth starts accelerating in a way that catches people off guard. Because compounding isn't a straight line, it's a curve, and most people give up right before the curve gets steep. So who actually comes out ahead, the owner or the renter? Well, this is where most people misunderstand the whole debate. It's not really renting versus buying. It's renting and investing the difference versus buying and building equity. Two completely different wealth-building machines running side by side. The property owner builds wealth slowly through paying down a mortgage and hopefully price appreciation. But a huge chunk of that mortgage payment in the early years isn't even building equity. It's mostly interest. And Singapore property comes with extra friction. Stamp duties, additional buyer's stamp duty if you're getting a second property later, agent fees, renovation costs that never quite stop. The renter-investor, on the other hand, has full flexibility, no lock-in, no massive debt hanging over their head, and their money is working in a completely different way, spread across an entire market instead of concentrated in one single asset, one single unit, one single location. Now, does that mean owning property is a bad decision? No, not at all. Let's be honest about the other side, too. Owning a home gives you something renting can't fully replicate: stability, control, the ability to renovate however you want, stay as long as you want, not worry about a landlord suddenly deciding to sell. For a lot of Singaporeans, especially with CPF designed to support housing, buying, especially an HDB flat, remains a genuinely strong path, not because the investment math always wins, but because it solves real emotional and practical needs. But a condo specifically is a different animal. Higher price, higher opportunity cost. And here's the part that surprises people the most. When you actually run realistic numbers, comparing renting plus investing the difference against buying a condo with a mortgage over a 20 or 25-year horizon, the gap between the two outcomes is often much smaller than people assume. Sometimes the renter-investor pulls ahead. Sometimes the owner does, especially if property prices rise faster than average. It genuinely depends on your income growth, your investment discipline, and how long you stay in one place. So here's where most people stop asking the real question. The question was never really rent or buy. The real question is, are you actually disciplined enough to invest the difference month after month, year after year, without touching it? Because that's the uncomfortable part nobody wants to admit. Buying a condo forces discipline. The mortgage payment happens automatically whether you like it or not. Renting and investing requires you to have the willpower to actually invest consistently, even when the market drops, even when there's a new phone you want, even when your friends are flying business class to Japan. For a lot of people, that discipline never actually happens. The plan to invest the difference quietly turns into spending the difference. And that's the version of renting that really does leave you worse off. So if you're sitting there right now trying to decide, condo or rent, here's the honest answer. It's not really about the property. It's about knowing yourself. If you have the discipline to consistently invest, rent can absolutely build you comparable, sometimes even greater wealth, with far more flexibility along the way. But if you know deep down that money sitting in your bank account tends to disappear, then owning might genuinely be the better structure for you. Not because the math is better, but because the forced discipline protects you from yourself. The size of your down payment was never really the decision that mattered most. Your habits were. And whichever path you choose, renting or buying, the one thing that actually determines your future isn't the property market. It's what you do quietly every single month, long before anyone's watching.